Rearranged.
Hi, I'm Joe Preston. I served as international president in 2014 and 15. And I really appreciate this opportunity to join this conversation about peace. I think it's time that Lions really have taken a more active role in doing things in a positive, proactive way to make a difference. As part of this, I wrote a song. It's called The Narrow Path to Peace. It's a fun song. I hope you like it. We're going to get a chance to hear it today. So let's, Lions, do what we can to really take this peace effort to the next level. We're gonna stand up for justice, gonna stand up for human rights. Take that bell of freedom, ring it every day and every night. We can break the chains of bondage, celebrate our liberty. When we come together, living in harmony. The narrow path to peace will not be easy. There will be so many storms along the way. We must be strong and determined, spreading care and kindness full of grace. The journey calls for courage and actions that are bold, keeping one eye on the pathway and the other on our goal. Traveling down this narrow path to peace. Traveling down this narrow path to peace. We're out to change the world where wonders never cease. Traveling down this narrow path to peace. We're gonna stand up for justice, gonna stand up for human rights. And take that bell of freedom, ring it every day and every night. We can break the chains of bondage, celebrate our liberty. When we come together, living in harmony. Gonna do it with love, with guidance from above. Each step of movement's closer to the peace we're dreaming of. We're out to change the world where wonders never cease. Each step move us closer down the narrow path to peace. Each step move us closer down the narrow path to peace. Traveling down this narrow path to peace.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful way to start us out. It is 7 o'clock and we do value your time. Thank you, PIP Joe, for that music. That was great. And thank you all for joining us tonight. We are recording this. And without further ado, I would like to introduce two of my greatest mentors, Lion and past council chair, Jodi Burmester of the Burmester Virtual Bar and Lions Virtual, and many, many things, and Vice District Governor Daniel Elkins, who I first met in Las Vegas a couple of years ago and was just fell in love with everything he had to say. And I've learned so much from both of you, and it's just an honor to have you here with us tonight. So I'm going to let you just run with it. It's about starting new clubs. I would like to say a couple of things. Our area 1H, the plans call for 15 new clubs this year. And we are 1/3 of the way through. And as of yet, we have not chartered a new club. So it's timing. The timing is perfect to get us thinking about, talking about, planning about, and moving ahead so we can meet that goal of 15 new clubs by the end of June this year. So Jodi, Daniel, take it away.
Hello, everyone. We are excited to be here tonight to talk about new clubs and new club development. When Richard, first of all, you guys are so blessed to have Richard. Richard is the king of starting new clubs, especially cyber clubs and specialty clubs. He totally gets it. You have one of the best mentors that is your GAT leader that you're going to find in the entire globe. So, Richard, please jump in with comments, and the same with all of you. This is about you all and making sure you get out of this what you need to reach your goal of starting those 15 new clubs yet this year. So we're going to do a couple of things tonight. We're going to present some slides to you that kind of give you an overview of what the new club development program looks like. And we're also going to share a number of real world examples and ideas and tips that you might take into account as you're looking to start your new clubs. But before we start, Richard, you say you have 15 new clubs that are your goal. Has anyone started the process of recruiting? Where is anyone even begun the process yet? Just so we can kind of get a feel for where everyone's at.
21, MD21 has had Daniel Elkins out, and I believe there's 4 or 5 clubs in process. I'm unaware of other clubs in process at this point. I think Nevada is working on some. And other than that, I'm unaware at this point.
Okay, so we're going to go through the full deck, if you will, slide deck, and ask that you guys feel free to ask questions. I'm going to be sharing my screen. So Richard and Daniel, if you can pipe up if there's questions or anything else that we need to go with, or stop me and we can stop sharing so we can have a conversation. Because again, it's about all of you getting what you need out of this and finding out how you can start a new club or new clubs in your area. So with that, I'm going to begin sharing my screen. Daniel, did you have anything you'd like to add to what we're talking about?
Oh, no. That was a perfect opening. I'll jump in when I see, the opportune moment.
So in theory, you're all seeing a gray box on top of my first slide there. We'll move that box for you. Are you all seeing a slide that says new club development, building new clubs? Fantastic. So that's what we're talking about tonight. And we're going to spend the next hour, mostly hopefully in question and answer with all of you. So at this point in your Lionistic journey, we hope you all understand the benefits of starting and organizing new Lions clubs. And it's really about improving service and spreading our service across new communities so that we can expand our service and make a difference in lives of others. And as we look at this, it's also about introducing new service projects. Every community now, post-COVID, during COVID, wherever you are on the scale of COVID at this point, is really experiencing a whole different level of need than they possibly have experienced ever in the past. So a local Lions club could come in, starting a club, and help meet some of those needs that are being unmet. Obviously, from a district level, there are some benefits, including, encouraging families to work together, rejuvenating and growing membership in your district, and developing and growing new leaders in your district. The lifeblood of our association, and one that sometimes we kind of miss out on lately, is bringing in new members to our organization, new members with new ideas and new ideas of how we can serve and make a difference, and helping teach us old dogs some new tricks. So it's really important that we look at organizing new Lions clubs as the lifeblood of our districts and our association towards the future. As you're looking at new club development, excuse me a second, I've had a frog all day. Sorry about that. As you start to talk about what it takes, and if you want to start a new club or start developing a new club, it's really important that you understand what the rules are to start a club. And according to Lions Clubs International, you need at least 20 new members to become an official Lions Club. Your district governor has to sign off on it. You have to have the club pay the appropriate charter fees and certification, go through that process. You have to have a sponsoring club, a region, a zone, your cabinet, or a district committee that's going to sponsor that club and also then support that club. and you have to complete the charter application process in MyLCI. That's it. That's how you start a club. But not everyone gets to 20 members. And here is something that Lion Richard is so good at, and it's branch clubs. Branch clubs are an opportunity for us to rejuvenate our current clubs that might be struggling, clubs that are a little older that are having a hard time attracting younger members. A branch club is a perfect way to start building a new club that's either a specialty club or a club that does different work than your current club does. So for a club branch, you need to have a minimum of 5 members, only 5 people coming together that want to serve in a specific way. You don't need the full slate of officers. They work underneath your current club, the parent club, but you do have to have a branch president, a branch secretary, and a branch treasurer. Your sponsoring club then also provides a branch liaison that works with the club directly. And the branch club, their president serves on the board of directors of the parent club. Your district governor needs to be informed that this is what's going on. And again, you have to complete the application to submit in MyLCI. These 2 pieces of information are really the basis of any club you want to get started as you're looking to go forward. Any question on what a branch club is, or a traditional club, or size of a club that we're looking at? Richard.
I might mention that you're not required to have a secretary and a treasurer in the branch. Your parent club can handle the secretary and treasurer duties for you if you choose, so that you have even less administration to manage.
Oh, Richard, that's fantastic news. That's the first I've heard that. So that's very cool to hear that. Because part of the challenge is, if you only have 5 members in a branch, is administration can take a lot of time and effort. So if you can have your parent club cover that, that's fantastic. Other questions, comments, or concerns?
There was a
Jodi,
question
can you hear
about,
me?
there was a question in the chat about whether or not the members of a branch, the initial 5, could be associate members. And I had just responded that a branch can indeed have associate members, but the original 5 need to be primary members within that club. So you could get 5 to form a branch club and then have associate members helping out and assisting with things, but you need at least 5 members who their primary membership is within that club.
Perfect. Thank you, Daniel and Richard. Anything else before we move on to the types of clubs that we're looking at?
Jodi.
Yes.
Hi, this is
Hi,
Rosemary.
Rosemary.
I'd just like to make a comment, because at this time when we're organizing a new club, it's also then that we identify who the guiding lion is going to be for that club. Since we know if it's a specialty club, what kind, and we try to find a guiding lion that will fit into that club.
You're exactly
Yes.
right, Rosemary. And that is something we're going to talk about a little bit later on in the presentation, because guiding lions, especially certified guiding lions, are so important to the success or failure of your new club. They really have a huge factor in that. So we're going to get to that. And please bring in some comments at that point if you've got any suggestions or tips on what you've seen happen in your own area. Let's talk about, so we talked about, a club starts at 20 members or a branch at 5, but Lions clubs are not traditional anymore necessarily. There's still traditional Lions clubs being formed. The club I joined and I am a member of, where we meet and we eat and we drink and beverages, and we have we do service and fundraisers and things of that nature. Traditional clubs are still being formed, but there's so much more out there now when you're looking at a potential club in your area. There's campus clubs. If you have a technical college or a university in your area, starting a Lions Club on campus is a fantastic way to reach out to the youth and the movers and the shakers and the future leaders of not only Lionism potentially, but of the globe. So in the business world and wherever you are. So campus clubs are a great option. And Daniel was just talking about one. They just formed one at George Washington University earlier this year. There's an opportunity to form these campus clubs. The Leo Lion Club is really a club made up of younger people who are Leo Lions, And Daniel, give me the specifics on the age group. Do they need to be under, I think, under a certain age? I can't remember off the top of my head. I apologize.
55.
35. So it's young people who want to serve under the age of 35. They are usually very active clubs and do a number of things that our local or traditional clubs may or may not want to do. And it's a great opportunity for you to be able to reach out to younger people and say, hey, here's a chance for you to make a difference in your community. Specialty clubs. We're going to talk a lot about specialty clubs in a few minutes here, but specialty clubs are really where we're seeing a huge amount of growth in Lions clubs. And it's clubs that focus on a specific area of service in general. So Richard's own club is a specialty club that started out focusing on children's vision screening. It's turned into more of a school support club. Would you say that's true, Richard?
Yes, we specialize in kids and schools.
And that allows you to attract people who are interested in supporting specifically kids in schools. When you're a very broad-based club and you're a traditional club and you're trying to be everything to everybody, you sometimes get lost in the shuffle. So these specialty clubs are an amazing opportunity to break through the volunteer clutter, if you will, of all the other volunteer opportunities out there and start a club that's focused on some specific areas to meet specific needs. And the last club type on here is actually a virtual Lions Club. And quite honestly, all but traditional clubs potentially could be a virtual Lions Club. A virtual Lions Club simply meets online. They do some online service, but most of their service is done traditionally. They go out and do service projects. So you could have a virtual specialty club, you could have a virtual campus club, you could have a virtual Leo Lion Club, or a broad-based virtual club as a whole. So as you're looking at your specific geographic area, there's a lot of different ways and places that you might be able to start a club. You need to look at some demographics of where you're going, and that kind of leads into our next slide, and about determining the areas of opportunities. There's a lot of items on this slide, and as we look at moving forward, as you look at moving forward and you're planning to start new clubs, it's really important that you look at the size of the community that you're targeting and what possibility there is for local projects. You know, if you've got a community that is, 300 people and there's really not a base to support a club, it doesn't make a lot of sense to work in that area necessarily. Perhaps you look instead of at one community of bringing 3 or 4 together that are geographically close that would have similar interests. Check out the competition. Current service clubs and community organizations in those communities, if they're already saturated with a large number, is really important to know before you try to start a club. There's always room for another club in theory, but it's much harder to start a club in a smaller community when there's already 5 or 6 other very active community organizations out there. Are there groups of people out there that are not being recruited by a Lions Club? Are there already Lions Clubs covering that area is really what that comes down to. Are there locations of other Lions Clubs that are close to help support this club? Are there communities with young adults, women, ethnic communities, and other underrepresented groups? So one of your best friends when you go to do some research on a community is actually Wikipedia. If you search on Wikipedia for any community in the United States, and I haven't checked Canada, but in the United States, it will pull up the community's demographics. It will talk about the gender breakdown, the household incomes. It will talk about the family unit structure. It will talk about all of these different really important data points in trying to determine if a community is open to, available, or willing to be able to support a Lions Club. What challenges and barriers might be faced in this community? Was there a club there before that wasn't successful? Is that going to be a barrier? Are there other potential barriers there? You also need to take a look at what local community leaders you would need to be able to support a new club in that area. Are they already tied up in another organization? Is this something that the community leaders would support? Because especially in a smaller community, if the community leaders aren't on board with helping you and supporting this club, it's going to be very challenging to start a club. And then what benefit can a Lions Club bring to the community? You know, when you start looking at communities, if you just randomly look at the map and use Wikipedia and do your research geographically on where you might want to start a club, and you don't take into account that this is really about a club benefiting the community, and you're just doing it to put a new club in, I think you're probably need to readjust the way you look at it. You know, if there's not a benefit to the community of a new Lions Club, then that club doesn't have a very much of a chance of being successful. And if a club can't be successful in serving the needs of a community, it doesn't do anyone any good at that point. So is there a benefit? So as you look at all of these things, and then back to, has there been a Lions Club in the community? As you look at all of these, determining your areas of opportunity, to me, it becomes very obvious. You need to have a conversation once you've identified a target area. Start having conversations with community leaders. And that really leads us into the next piece, which is
Before we do,
Sure.
before we do, Jodi, let me share my screen really quickly because I want to show you an example. Too often we talk about these and how do you do it, but I just want to give you a quick breakdown of everything that Jodi said and show you a real world example of how to do that. I want you all to, in your mind, pick a community within your district. It doesn't have to be one that you'd settle on, but we're just going to pick one. So I want to show you the process I did when I got asked to do a new club consultation in Erwin, Tennessee. The first thing I did, I know that the district has picked Erwin, so they have decided this is the space. So the very first thing I did when I pulled up is I go to the Chamber of Commerce. And from the Chamber of Commerce, you can actually, almost every Chamber of Commerce is a great starting place when you're looking to put a club in that town, because they will list right away the businesses that in town that you should be generating and talking to. And you'll see right there, there's a phone number. I can call each one of these and begin to talk to those people there if I am trying to do that. So that's step one, is setting up a Chamber of Commerce and seeing if you can talk to present at the Chamber's next meeting. I tend to, especially in rural areas, but also in cities, I look up places of worship. So churches, mosques, temples, because if you can get a pastor or a rabbi or an imam, if you can get them as a part of the club, there's a good chance you're going to get part of their congregation too. That's service mentality. So I looked at Erwin, Tennessee, and I picked up every single church that was there and did a reach out before I, was going to town to speak to those pastors, as well as, and this will play into Jodi's next slide, a community needs assessment, asking what they need. If you don't know their number, if you don't know their phone numbers and you haven't had the opportunity to talk to them, how do you truly know what they need? I also pull up the list of all of the nonprofits in the area, people that might actually have the ability to have a shared vision and potential service point partnerships. That is such a big thing when we're trying to do clubs, is looking to form partnerships when you're going in. I pulled up the list of the top 30 community organizations in Tennessee, and that's actually a ranking. Yellow Pages does that. So you can put in best community service organizations in the town that you're looking at, and it'll see all of these people. And then, like Jodi said, you look for your competition. Now, in this particular case, Erwin, Tennessee is home to one of the oldest Rotary clubs in the country. They have been serving for over 101 years in there, and they were not open to the idea of a Lions Club coming in. And in fact, many of their members were on the Chamber of Commerce, so we didn't get much sway. So, given that instance, we had to find a way to think outside of the box. And in Erwin, Tennessee, it was the public library. And reaching out to the public library there, they weren't the type of people that were recruited into the all business focused Rotary. And we were able to form a partnership that on November 5th, they are having their official charter party, charting with about 35 members. So that process literally began of what Jodi was just saying. This is how you actually do it. You have to do the map and map out your assets in each of those communities and make those phone numbers. And that's the work that the new club consultant does that the district needs to learn how to do, is just pull up those databases and begin to reach out and contact them. Sorry for the interruption, Jodi, but I figured let's show
Nope.
a real world
That's
version of that.
that's how we play the game, so to speak. As long as Daniel's showing you that, I'm going to show you what Wikipedia, because before I get to that with Daniel, as I look to find an area, as I said, go to Wikipedia. And I just pulled up a city in my area that our district is looking at again, being able to possibly go in here. And I'm not sure how much you can read because this is relatively small, but if you look at, here's a 2010 census, this will be updated soon. There was 3,050 people with 1,224 households and 796 families. It shows the racial breakdown of the community. It shows the number of people per household. It shows what their average income is. 26.4 were under the age of 18. It breaks it all down for you. So as you're looking at this, you can also, they have a whole bunch of other things that come in on Wikipedia. This gives you the first basic piece that when you tie it in with Daniel, you can at least understand if there is a demographic there that you're interested in. Are you looking at forming a younger club? Are you looking at people that are either a Leo Lion club, so looking at that age? Are you looking to form a family club? If you want to go into community and you find out that it's the majority of it is families, knowing that that is the population there, then you maybe change your approach to the club and how you approach them. So it's part of the one of the baseline pieces to start with. And then Daniel is spot on. Then it's time to start doing that other search, checking out what's available, what's there. And that's where we're going to go here. And I'm going to share what is exactly what Daniel was talking about in the lead into, let me get to the proper spot here. The community needs assessment. And the community needs assessment, let me get it to click here. I hope that you're all seeing the community needs assessment list here now, the slide, is really how you determine what the community needs. Because again, just coming in to say we're starting a Lions Club is not going to get you very far. So you need to learn what the volunteer services that the community needs are. You need to learn what projects and programs are important to the community. And if there's a gap there, is there some need that's not being met? And going back to what Daniel said, learn which organizations in the area are providing similar volunteer services. If there's already, you're talking a town of 9,000 people, and there's already 2 Rotary clubs, a Kiwanis, an Optimist, and a Zonta club, and they have a strong volunteer fire department, this might not be the best fit for you to go in and start another club if they're already meeting all the community needs. And this next piece is so important. And that's building those relationships with key community leaders so they can support the formation of the club. Going through the chamber, as Daniel talked about, finding that opportunity to build a partnership. The area of an unmet need in Irwin, Tennessee was a library. A library can start it. What about a local, excuse me, community organization, a community center? Is there an opportunity with the local Boys and Girls Club? Is there some unmet area or an area that's really looking for, that could use some help that a Lions Club could focus on? Then going back into the last piece, which is really assessing the feasibility of the new club, is based on the community needs, the demographics, and your assets. And this goes to what Rosemary was talking about earlier. If you, as a district governor or an incoming governor, are looking at starting 3 new Lions clubs in your district this next Lions year, do you have the personnel to support those clubs? It's the certified guiding lions. You have to have at least 1, but it is strongly recommended you have 2, because that way there's 2 different personalities supporting. When one can't be at a meeting, the other can be there, all of those things. But there's also that sponsoring club. That's a huge part of the support network for this new club. And officer mentors. That is another key component in the success of any new club. Making sure that you can team up the new club secretary with a successful current club secretary and treasurer, and all of those roles is what helps that club become sustainable on their own and be able to launch them to be a club that can be on their own. Yes, Daniel.
So I would like to add 2 addendums to this. One, check your prejudices about what type of service is needed in that community at the door. And I have seen
good.
quite a few informational meetings go awry because the sponsoring club decided to come up with a list of service projects that these new prospective members could do. And it was all the types of things that the parent club did. And there was no one in the room that identified with those service projects. You need to have an open mind and be asking what the needs are. And whatever those needs are, if it's a need that can be met by service, then that is where you should be looking to focus at. Yes, your club, your way, Darlene, definitely 100%. And the second piece I would say to this is I have not met a single community that doesn't need more services for their children. And so I always look for things to do with the youth in the community, because if you make time for the youth of a community, their parents will make time for you. And that's a great recruiting tool to be able to do stuff. And if we want that next generation of Lions, we need to raise them. So I think as we're always talking about younger members, and so the way you get those young parents with kids is to focus on looking to try and find youth services and create clubs connected to other organizations that offer youth services. Because then if you have just 5 members in a branch club, you could still partner with the Boys and Girls Club to do something to be able to create service that ends up recruiting more people.
Perfect, Daniel. And that's so true. And I mean, as you're looking at this, and it goes back to if getting those families involved, so many families these days are looking for opportunities to serve together and do volunteer work together. So it's a huge opportunity for Lions clubs to come in and create these family clubs where the kids are welcome and have a cub club on the side. At the same time, the parents are there. And it's a great opportunity that I don't think many clubs are taking advantage of at this point. And the partnership thing, I can't, and Daniel is the king of the partnerships in CA1, and partnership. That is, partnering up with these local organizations along with that is huge in getting and finding the projects and having them find their way. I will tell you that Daniel, you're spot on with the parent clubs or the host club or the sponsoring club coming in at times and squashing things. And it's really important as you're looking at who's going to be who you're going to have sponsor this club, which club or area it's going to be of your cabinet or what zone, region, whatever it is, to make sure that they understand the rules and what they're there for as well, so that they don't come in and squash these new clubs and this new club and their new ideas, and let them be themselves. Let them find their own personality. And this is where it starts. So yes, Richard.
It's easy to forget that branches are clubs too. And we mention branches, but as we're going to different communities as a district looking for real clubs of 20 members or more, individual clubs can be going to communities or different parts of town or different professions or different ethnic groups or different sports teams and looking for just 5 members at a time and forming these branches. And there's no rule that says a club can't have 5 or 10 different branches scattered all over town. So when you're looking at these communities and you say, well, we couldn't start a club of 20 there, maybe you could start a branch of 5.
Richard, I think you're spot on with that. And finding 5 people, like-minded individuals who want to serve, as long as the host club, or I keep saying the host club, the sponsoring club or district can support them so that they get the support they need to thrive. And, there's a question in the chat. I got the chat up in this other window that how can you use this information to put life back into an existing club? This branch concept is a very good piece of it. Going back in and doing a community needs assessment. It is such an important time right now for every club to be going back out and reassessing what the community needs are and then tying it into what they're doing. And I think it's really important that we take a look at that. And the community needs assessment is not that hard to put out there. Daniel.
And in addition to that, the same method of doing a mapping of the community and reaching out and talking to all members of the community can be done to revitalize the club. If the only difference and change is learn the good that that club has done in the community over the last 50 or 60 years. And so have that ready to go when you're talking to people saying, you know what, the Oak Park Lions Club has served this community for 70 years. We're down to 4 members. Here's all the incredible things that they've done. We would like you to help revitalize this club if you come and be a part of that. It's the same process. However, and I like to tell it the way I see it. It is sometimes easier to plant a seed than it is to revive an old oak tree, because clubs get set in their ways and they want to do things the way that they have always done them. So while I firmly suggest that you try all of this in your clubs to revitalize your clubs, you may discover sometimes it is easier just to start something new. If you look at the areas in which Lionism is exploding around the world, it's in a lot of places it's where it's a blank slate and there are new clubs being formed because people like to charter their ideas and set up something new. Preserving the tradition of something that has been around is wonderful, but it's a lot harder sell sometimes. That's just my experience. I see we have a hand in the Jim, or is it Vice District Governor Jim?
Yes, we started a branch club over 2 years ago, a branch service club. And they help, they're actually, younger Lions, and they've helped us with our projects. They want to become members, but of course they didn't want to sit around at dinner with a bunch of old men. So they just formed a branch service club and they just do service. And we used an organization, a website called justserve.org. And you pull that up and it has organizations that you can partner with in your community that you can serve, whether it's the food bank. We have an Ogden Nature Center that we do projects with. The Ogden City you can adopt a park. They have a project of the week. So, and there's many organizations that you can partner with, especially at Christmas time. You want to help, and Toys for Tots put on there. So you just put in your zip code and it'll pull up the projects in your area. And it's a great way to start out with projects and partner with people, like you said.
Thank you for
Jim,
sharing.
thank you.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic, because especially if you're going into community to try to start a new club, having that initial list and being able to understand what the current organizations are asking for in the community for support is a really great place to start. Because one of the other things as you're looking at conducting this community needs assessment and as you're looking to start a new club is, does it make sense to try to host a local project before you start a club? Or host a project when you're on the ground with the other, there's a lot of different ways to take a look at these things. And having that information in advance is very helpful, especially when you go out and start talking to potential members. You'll say, here, we understand that this is going on in your community and would love to be able to offer another opportunity to expand on those service opportunities. The new club process is next on our list, unless there's anything else on the community needs assessment. Have any of you done community needs assessments, by the way? If you haven't done one in your own community in the last 2 or 3 years, please, please, please take it to your club and get people working on that. As district governors, incoming governors, that could be a very good goal for you to have your clubs. If you're worried about your clubs reactivating, what a great way to get them to start getting back out there is to get out there and talk about what the needs are and find the needs and be able to go from there. So I know that's a little off our topic, but there you go. So let's talk about what the actual new club development process looks like. And LCI has been doing this a long time, and they've come up with these steps that really set the stage for a successful club launch. And the first is for you to create your team. And we're not going to go into a lot of detail on this because time. And there's more information on this as you go along. And if you're interested, we'll walk you through this more specifically. But you create a team, and it really needs to start out with your district governor, your first and second, if you have them, basically your executive team, your GMT coordinator, your global membership team coordinator. And if your district is lucky enough to have an extension coordinator, oh yeah, get them involved. They should be leading the charge on all of this. And then also from the team standpoint, whoever is going to be the club officers from the sponsoring club, so that they're involved in this from the get-go. So they're very much on board with the whole process, can be out there to help recruit and then help support the club as they go along.
I would
And it would,
add to, I would add to that list, and 3 to 5 Lions who don't mind talking to people and getting told no a lot. They don't need a title. 3 to 5
Yeah.
people who don't mind spending an afternoon walking around and having people tell them no. You need that. If you don't
Yes.
have that, all the plans in the world, don't actually come to fruition, because that's what they bring in a new club consultant for, is to be the person who walks into the buildings and talks to people. But in my experience, in every single time, having someone local who lives in the area, who can say, you know what, I grew up 3 towns over, is a much better way of doing it. But this is the thing that people are missing when they put together their teams. And if you don't have 3 to 5 people who are willing to go out and actually ask people, have a practice session. Literally take a group of Lions to the mall and see if you can recruit people in an afternoon. Role play it out, so that when they actually go out to try and do the job, that it won't be the first time they've been told no.
very good, Daniel. I would add, and I have one other piece that I think is vital to adding to the list at this point, and then part of the team is whoever your certified guiding Lions are going to be. Those individuals should be involved from day one, because they are going to be the support of the club. If they're the ones that are supporting the club, they should, whether they're good at asking or not, they should be out in an integral part of that recruitment process, because they will be the face of support for those Lions as they move forward in their new club activities. Next up in the process is to conduct activities, including the community needs assessment. I'm sorry, my glasses are apparently filthy along with everything else today. Let me make this bigger. Meeting with the community leaders, canvassing, following up on leads, all of the things that it takes to actually get the club started. Once you've done that, it's time to set up your informational sessions. This is handled by your certified guiding Lions. They go through a training, and there's a full process that goes along with it. That is the informational sessions, the organizational meeting, and then working through the charter. Getting that charter application in. Charter applications, as some of you know, are sometimes a little particular, we'll call it, and it takes a little bit to get those done. LCI does a good job of getting everything in right away, but there's other pieces that go along with that, becoming a 501c4, all of those other things. And then planning the Charter Night celebration. Charter Night celebrations should be a big, big deal. They used to be a big deal. And I'm not a proponent of how we used to do things, as most of you on this call know, but I'll tell you what, the clubs that don't have a special Charter Night celebration where they invite Lions from around their area and beyond and all of that tend to not feel as welcome to the rest of the organization. That Charter Night celebration is an opportunity to celebrate the new club and welcome them and start their networking with all of their support group, their mentor teams, and all of that, and really go from there. So making sure it's a big deal is really important. Again, this is usually taken care of between the chartering club, the new club, and their certified guiding Lions and other that are supporting the club. So this is really the steps to a successful developing a new club. And I think we're missing another arrow here, quite honestly, because this is how you get them started. But if you only go this far, this club is not likely to be successful. So those next steps in continuing the support of that club are really vital to keeping them going and making sure that they are sustainable on their own. Daniel, anything, or Richard, do you wanted to add to the process itself? Go ahead, Richard.
I would just like to say that on last week, Lion Muriel and I called on a school and talked to a first grade teacher about the Read Between the Lions program. And I invited her to join our club. And I just received notification on Cognito Forms that she just joined our club a minute ago. And so when we're doing all of this, being a cyber club, you really ought to think about doing it. Here's a new member just like that. Thank you.
Congratulations. Great work. I'm going to skip this next slide as we move forward here because this is some of the resources available. As you get going on things, we will, as you move through the process, we can share more details on this. This list is available on the LCI website. I'm going to share a link with you in a few minutes on, but I want to get to what this whole new club development requests are, what the new club development workshops are. And Daniel and I were talking with some of you before the call about the long-term goal, but it's really the new club development specialists. Daniel and I are both in that program, the consultants. Their job is not to come in and do the work for you. You as a district have a lot of homework that has to be done in advance. So the workshops will help guide your district through the steps to forming a new club. And we customize them to meet the district's needs. So if you're just starting a specialty club, it's different. If you're starting it in a larger community or an urban area, it's different. And they're a fun way to extend Lions to a new area to provide service to this community, which is fantastic. But the new club development consultants are not these magicians that come in and wave their magic wand and 3 days later or 5 days later, you have a Lions club. The job really resides in the front end with what the district and the district team does to do their homework. And this is done in consultation with a new club development specialist, if that's what you'd like it to be. But it really resides with the district to identify at least one guiding lion, but preferably two. Work on that community needs assessment in that specific or prospective area. Start scheduling those meetings. Even if you have a consultant coming in, it's up to you to start opening those doors and get those meetings scheduled for those conversations that are going to occur when the consultant is on the ground with you. Be ready to print the flyers for the information that include the informational meeting details, set up all those details of where you're going to be able to host informational meetings. And as Daniel said, key is developing your recruitment team, 3 to 5 local lions. And it could be local, could mean your whole multiple district, for goodness sakes. 3 to 5 members that are willing to come down and hear those no's. LCI is looking for this area that you're working in to have more than 1,000 residents in the population. And that your district is going to be ready if after 8 weeks your club has not been chartered, that you're going to consider or continue on to submit paperwork for a branch club to continue recruiting to get to those minimum members. It is an investment that Lions Clubs International makes by sending the consultants out to your area. And it's part of the give and take of that a new club will come out of it. The really great part of all of this is that Tracy Gray, who is the new club consultant, and I never get the right, there's so many different titles over the last 20 years, I can't remember what it is. Basically, to get a new club consultant to come out, you work with Tracy Gray, and you can reach her at membership@lionsclubs.org. And she is a fantastic asset for us in going through and being able to help you understand the process, be able to work through the paperwork with you to be able to sign up for a club consultant and go from there. So that is the last of the slides. I do want to show you the new club page on Lions Clubs International's website. And to get to that, you go to lionsclubs.org and search on new clubs. And I apologize, I closed this down earlier because I apparently was sick of looking at it or something, because why I would not leave it up there, I don't know. But Daniel, do you want to talk a little bit about the some of the experience you've had out on the street and some tips on as incoming governors and the support and second vice district governors that, you know, things they might want to consider as they're looking to start new clubs?
Sure. First of all, how many of you have heard of the importance of having an elevator speech? Raise your hand. Okay. I don't think it should be a speech. It should be a conversation. I think we have been approaching it the wrong way for many years, because it should begin with questions, finding out about who they are as a person, and then tailoring what you have to say to who they are as a person. So we are not just automatons saying Lions Clubs International is the world's largest service organization with 1.4 million members. I've heard that a million times. That is not a way to recruit somebody. It is definitely important. I just got a message to say to be positive. It's when you're doing this stuff. So yes, it is absolutely important to do that. But while you're doing this, is to have a conversation. And when you are doing your recruitment speech, talk about what you are going to do. Talk about what you did last year. You can leave the 1917 and 1925 and all of those very important dates that we use so often out. If you're attempting to recruit anyone under the age of 40, they want to know what you did last year. Like Lions Clubs International gave out $6.3 million in COVID response grants. We were on the front lines helping people. That's what we did during the pandemic. And this is what we would like to do with your help tomorrow. That is a better recruitment pitch than this preconceived package type thing. So when you are having those conversations, think about that. And I also like to, yes.
Can I just add to that? You know,
Yeah.
we've seen, and we're going that same recruitment concept. We've seen clubs that were incredibly successful in rejuvenating their membership and coming out and bringing new members into existing clubs with that exact same concept and asking people how they want to serve. How would you, what's important to you? Because you know what? Our Lions Club could do that. And then the club supports that effort, whatever it might be, to be able to apply, to be able to provide that service.
Absolutely. And while you are doing that, you are also sort of building this vision. The other thing is practice. How many of you can play violin? Anyone? So if you were to pick up a violin right now, would it make a good sound? No, it would sound like a cat squealing and dying. Why is recruitment any different? Think about that. If you want to be an expert at recruiting, you need to practice. They say it takes 10,000 hours of practice to become an expert at anything. I'm not saying that you should spend 10,000 hours recruiting. However, if each and every single one of you did, we would not have a membership problem in Constitutional Area 1 anymore. But the point is, practice and practice among friends. Maybe set up a role playing with your GMT at a cabinet meeting, and everyone walk around and try and recruit each other. These little things, I think, are so important in the long run. We do have that list Jodi is about to share, but I want to also show you two resources here. This is from the current New Club consultancy that I'm on Sunday. I'm going to Alabama and working on the University of North Alabama, the Shoals Area Lions Club. And so this is a checklist. This is a checklist that was put together by the district. PID Jerome Thompson is involved in this, so you can see it's very organized. But they have done this checklist here of determining the area of opportunity, the size of community service needs, done. If this is what we're doing, and then here's our team development, and here's the different steps, and who is responsible on the team in order to do these. And then as well as here's the site development, who's contacting the mayor's office, who's contacting the Chamber of Commerce, what dates are we going to be doing this on? Here's the community needs assessment, the set up the Facebook page, set up a landing page. The guerrilla marketing is their street team that's going out. Here are all of their promote new club. Do you see? They've laid out this process. I will be sending this to Richard, and if Richard would like to share it, I've been given permission to share this. This is not an official LCI product, but I think by spring it just might well be because yes.
Can you scroll back up to the top of that for a second for me?
Of course.
Because I want you to take a look at the timeline that we're looking at here, because this is another piece that we don't really cover in the slides. And if you start looking at this, they started, I'm not sure exactly because they've just said done, but when they started doing this, it had to be in July,
July.
if I had
it
to
was.
guess.
Yep.
And now they're coming to basically the end of October when they're going to hit the ground and really start recruiting. And I think that's really a reasonable timeline. And I think that we all need to keep that in mind as well, because timelines are important, and making sure you cross all the I's and dot all the T's. No, other way around. Dot all the I's and cross all the T's, before you get out there is really important, because having a prepared team is so important to the success of of this potential club.
And this is what they have set up as a landing page to send people to. And this, first time I've seen a group done this, but this is great, because it says what the mission of this club is going to be. It will bridge like-minded individuals from the town, the university, and the student body together to identify community needs. Then working together, the Lions will improve the quality of life. And it talks about the Lions. It has a very specific, here is a Lions in North Alabama, how they're impacting their lives. It's a minute-long clip talking about that, how this proposed club can show kindness. And here are just some possible service projects, right? And this is just to give ideas. It's not a box to keep people in. How can you be a part? Here's more information. And then, wow, I had no idea Lions did all that. I would like more information. And then it takes you to an email. So that is something that they have as a shared, whenever they're going out and passing out flyers, they have, check this out. It's an easy link. People go to it, and right away, within 30 seconds of looking at it, you can see what the purpose of this proposed club is, of how it will serve the community.
Daniel, I think that is one of the most brilliant things I've seen from a marketing standpoint of a new club ever. And I just want to make sure everyone on this call realizes that we might not individually have those talents to put those together, but there are people out there. You can go to your local, your high school. If you got a Leo club, some of them have that access. A local community college. There's other areas you can reach out to get support to help you able to put those types of online resources together that will help you in your success as you're out recruiting as well.
That's actually a page made from Constant Contact. Constant Contact, if you have an email system, has the ability to create little pages. So they just did a template and dropped it in. And all credit goes to PID Jerome Thompson and his team for coming up with that.
Both SurveyMonkey and Constant Contact do that, but you do have to have paid subscriptions. So, and I do believe you can get a single month or a 3-month subscription, that if as a district you had the budget and would like to support that, that might be a very good way for you to support the new club. And then also use it for some other marketing tools that you might want to use with your current membership. So just as something to take a look at. So you guys have been really quiet because I talked a lot and Daniel's given us some brilliant ideas, but where are you all at? Are we hitting the mark with what you were hoping to hear tonight? Do you have questions, comments? Want to hear more? Because Daniel and I can talk all night long. In case you don't know us, we can.
Hey, Jodi, this is Mike. When the consultants come in, do you focus on particular areas? Like I know when they came to Utah, previous consultants did banks and schools. And I know they have disposable income, but those folks are pretty busy. So have you changed that approach when you and Daniel go in?
So for me, when I talk to places, I'm actually talking to everybody and anybody who is willing to serve. The old school method of doing it, those people make great members if you can get them. But the person working at Taco Bell may want to give back to their community, but they're always overlooked. And in that case, especially in a smaller town in which you have like a Rotary Club or Kiwanis Club, which is primarily the business owners, I look for the people who work for them, who aren't ever invited to those types of meetings in order to serve. And I would say, though, however, if you're talking to school teachers and busy people, people who are already serving in the community in a way, I love recruiting those type of people. But what I do is I build a service around what they're passionate about. And I then tell them, I'm not actually asking you to do anything else. I'm asking you to do what you're already doing in the name of Lions. And in fact, I'm offering to help you, because what school system doesn't need volunteers to help out? Every single one that I've ever known could use some extra people helping with the PTA or helping with whatever. Richard is great at that. His club has been recruiting principals and vice principals and school people, but it's by going and saying, we want to do service connected around your school. So that's the reverse engineering a club from what people already do. Because if I'm a busy person and you come along and ask me to say, let me join something where I could potentially get 20 other volunteers that might help with the thing that I'm passionate about. Oh, I'm all about it. Let me be president of that club. So it's just a different way of approaching.
Great question and great answer. Couple things. Winster put in the chat, and I think you're spot on, Winster. Google Sites. If you are familiar with Google Sites, they will allow you to be able to set up those landing pages pretty easily. And there's some preset formats there as well. Darlene says that her club requires prospective members to come to 3 meetings before they will give them an application. She wants to know if it's common practice. And I'm going to say something that's probably naughty, but I said naughtier things. That is 1962 attitude. And if you think you're getting new members by forcing them to come to 3 of our boring meetings, and yes, most of our meetings are boring, I think that someone needs to reassess a few things. I'll put it that way. Now, if you make them come to a service project and help you serve, that might be, and at least see what it is you're all about, that might make more sense. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to the process and the history of your clubs, but in today's society with so many ways and opportunities to serve, and episodic volunteering, thinking that you're going to get younger people and these people to come to 3 meetings before you even say, hey, you want to join us, is probably not going to be very successful.
I would add two quick things to that. What is the motto of Lions Clubs International? And all the people said, we serve.
We serve.
Our motto is not we meet. And 2, my sponsoring club actually put in something where, in order to earn our name badge, we had to attend a club meeting, we had to attend a board meeting, we had to attend a service project, and we had to attend a district function once we were already members. That I thought was a real cool way of having that old school getting the buy-in, because they gave you this red paper name tag that looked horrible, and everybody had these nice badges and looked good. And so all of our new members said, how do we get one of those? Can we buy one? Nope, you got to earn it. Now, we didn't know we could go to lionsclub.org and order one for $13.95, but they made us earn those. And because we did, we valued them, and we did all of those other things. So I do think there was a way to do that concept, but a way to do that concept that is more fun than saying come to 3 meetings.
That's fantastic, because it also helps get them to realize there is an organization beyond your city limits or the borders of your club, which so many of our clubs don't realize. So that, brilliant, brilliant. You're scary when you're quiet.
Crickets.
So I think that, if as we look at the full process here, I think I just want to reiterate that this is a process, and it takes a lot of commitment from the district. LCI doesn't have any magic bullet for you. It is not going to happen just because we all wish it to. It takes a lot of work, a lot of planning, and a lot of follow through. But if you've ever been involved in the starting of a new club, you will find out very quickly how amazing it is to be part of that that opportunity to expand service. The last club I was guiding lion for, I'm still a guiding lion for unofficially because it's a Special Olympics club. Special Olympians love to serve. This club has been one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my life. And having that opportunity to be involved from the get-go with them and helping in recruiting and putting everything together with them, and then helping them be able to serve and fulfill this need to serve is an amazing, amazing opportunity. If you have a Special Olympics chapter in your area, it is very easy to get one started, relatively speaking. And you can go through our club because they have transportation issues. So we have a monthly meeting and we do a service project at every meeting. We sort eyeglasses, or we put the, for the Special Olympics, we put the banners or their little tags, their little awards. We string the awards for the Special Olympics events that are coming up. We sort and count things for Special Olympics. There's a lot of opportunity out there. So when you're looking at specialty clubs, don't forget that there's a lot of underserved markets of service or underserved areas. People, like Daniel said, that would love to get out there and serve, but have no means of getting it done. So finding a way to look at those opportunities that are already out there is really, if you're looking to start a club relatively quickly, I mean, it took us 3 years to get that club started, by the way, just due to a lot of different things, but it takes time, but there are ways to get it done.
And just as a final thought, there is one other way to do club development, and that is find people within a community who have social capital and recruit them. And that's the method that has been going on in MD21. And so the informational meeting that Richard was talking about, I spoke to, I think there was only about 13 people in that room. But from the 13 people in that room, 4 or 5 clubs are getting started, because everyone that was invited specifically to that room was someone who had a large network of individuals who, if they decided to become a lion, would join them. So it was a former pro football player who has a whole network of former pro football players who might want to do service. It was an art director who knows all of these artists, so there's an artist club there. So that's the other thing. If you know people who are connected in your state that happen to be a part of Lions, have them reach to their Rolodex, and that's a very often overlooked way of doing it. But consider that as a possibility, because if you can get that one person who brings in 20 with them, well, then you don't have to spend the weekend hearing no a lot. You just got to get one yes, and they'll do all the work for you.
Daniel, did I just hear the youngest guy in the room say Rolodex?
Yes, I did. I speak to my audience. I still have Rolodex.
Daniel.
I legitimately do. I'm old school, because technology is great when it works. But if I lose my phone, I want to be able to call the people I care about. So I have a legitimate Rolodex. So I guess I'm talking to myself as well. I did not mean to do the snap, although I saw Mike did. It wasn't a burn intended. It's all love.
Sorry, I had to do it. Go ahead, Mike.
When we tried, Jodi, to start a new club, we learned a lesson was when you go, you meet these folks, like Daniel said, you have the conversation. They're not ready. Somebody off the street to, like, you're the president, you know nothing about Lions, but you're an officer. So we learned that if we did it again, and Richard gave us this advice, is just bring them, start them as a branch. You know what I mean? Let them get the feel, navigate the waters. And then I think, because we're trying to start a branch club. It's a Hispanic. They're geographically separated from us, but we want to let them get a feel for the land, and then I think we're going to go from there. So great presentation tonight, definitely.
Thank you. I just be one last thing back to branches before Daniel. I mentioned it earlier. You have the King of Branch Club sitting as your GAT leader, who organizes these meetings for you and supports you all day, every day. And I think branch clubs are one of the most underutilized tools in our arsenal to growing our association, because as long as you have the ability for a club to support these branches, and get them going, there's no reason that you can't start a branch club to get their feet wet. And one of the things Richard taught me that I had no idea, and the South Tucson Cyber Lions, when they were still a branch, was that just because you get to 20 doesn't mean you have to charter either. And I think that's very much not known in the Lions organization, because as long as the two clubs are still compatible and working well together, maybe you don't want to separate them. Maybe it is something that's a long-term branch. They're a member of the parent club officially, and it's all good and it goes from there. But I think it's something that as you're looking at things, you might want to consider.
And I would just say very quickly, if you are starting a Hispanic club and don't have Lions that are of that ethnicity and background, I would actually reach out to Tracy Gray from the New Club Consultant and request Pablo Romano. So Pablo Romano is out of New York, and he specializes in creating these Hispanic clubs. He's done a lot in South America, but also here in the United States. So he's a young guy, he's bilingual, and he does a really good job integrating that community with the district. So there is someone who's a specialist in that particular area if you want to reach out to that. And to Jodi's point, yeah, my branch club charted at 68 members. So we were well over the 20. You can have a branch for as long as you want. So it could just be a service learning, for instance, the people who had the club that was just a service branch for the younger people. That also works really well. I don't want to take up your entire night though.
No, I did put Tracy monitors the membership at lionsclubs.org email address. So any questions about how to get a consultant and all of that goes to Tracy, and she can help you very, very quickly. So Richard, are we over time? Because I know you told us an hour and we probably talked a little bit more than that.
If you didn't go over time, we wouldn't be having a good time, right?
Oh, and then
But,
I'd like to, yeah, just mention to Mike, if you're forming a Hispanic branch club, there's a big possibility that if they're going to form a new club, it's going to be a family club because of, culture, just like our Asians.
That's
family-
that's good feedback.
Family clubs, I tell you, there are, between that and especially in branch clubs, the family, if we can figure out how to start family clubs and be successful in supporting them, I think that our membership problem is going to be gone and over with very quickly.
We are over our limit and we do try to be our 1 hour. So what I'd like to do is close the meeting and allow folks to go on and have their dinner or whatever. And if there are folks who'd like to stick around and ask some more questions, I'm sure we can do that. But in the meantime, I'm going to stop the recording. But before I do that, I'm going to take a photograph of everyone. So everyone look at your cameras and smile. Are you ready? Thank you. Jim, did you want to be in the picture?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to do it again. Look at your camera and thank you so much, everyone. And I'm going to cut off the recording now. Yeah.
If you wanted, the Excel spreadsheet that I was using for the new club stuff is it's in the chat right there. You can just click on it in the chat and download it. And just, make sure to thank PID Jerome if you see him for the useful tool. I think it should be a part of the official package that we send out.
Yes, I'll be sending out the video as well as some other information from LCI and so forth. So thank you so much. I'm going to end the recording. Thank you, Daniel and Jodi. It was always a pleasure. Anyone who'd like to stick around and chat, we'd be happy to do that. Good night, all.